All right, welcome back to the Community Hub upgrade site for V11. Let's get right into it. So this is my environment that I have my V10 installation on, and I haven't upgraded it to the RTM that we give to the service provider, so it's still V10. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually make sure that I have the configuration backup done, and that was in the post. So first of all, it's configured. Second of all, it was successful. Third of all, I know where it is, so the configuration backup goes here. And fourth of all, I do have it encrypted. I know what that password is. These are the configuration backup files, so if something went really wrong, I've got that special type of backup that I could take a base install and restore from. But that's all good, and I don't expect an issue. Now, over at the website, I did already download the file. It's a zip file that has the ISOs in it, and I have extracted those ISOs here. So let's just jump into it. And I have not done this yet. This is my first time with the GA. I was playing with some of the other builds, but what I like to do is just mount that ISO. There it is. Let's just do it. Now I'm hoping I get something where I need to sort it out. So let's see. What do I have? It says Upgrade Enterprise Manager, which I do have, but it says Upgrade Backup and Replication first. So keep that in mind. It should be pretty aware. I'm on the backup server. I'm not doing it remotely, so I'm logged in directly. So let's go ahead and upgrade Veeam Backup and Replication. We're unable to okay, so something's, well, that's my fault. I need to close it, right? So you're going to have these types of things, right? Oh, that's pretty obvious that I need to close my shell. All right. Now, I might get another trap here. Let's just see. But I'm trying to give you a sample of what you may deal with, but I should have closed it. So let's get going. So the first thing it's going to do is launch this installer. And I might pause the video here. I'll give you a sense of how long some of these things proceed. So if it gets not too interesting for you to watch, I'll pause it real quick. All right, that went for a moment, and now I'm back, and I'm at the first step, license agreement. I'm going to go ahead and accept those and proceed. And it's going to then straight away tell me that it's detected previous versions. All right, so let's go ahead and upgrade. Here we go. Now, I don't know if you caught that on my previous thing, but it said my license expires in 3 days. Now, that's a pretty good guess on when GA would happen. But basically, it has my license in there already. One of the best things is that this universal license is truly universal. It works for 10 and 11. So it found my license. Let's proceed. We need some updated components. So I love how the prereqs, they'll check that. So let's go ahead and install those different missing features, update those. Give the video a pause while it does that. All right, that was pretty straightforward. So it's rechecked as well. All right, now I am using local system. You can put in some explicitness, especially for distributed environments. I recommend that. This environment isn't very distributed. I do have the database on here, which actually I'm probably eventually going to move it. That would be a good piece of information, but it's just using the SQL Express locally. And this is a Windows 10 system, so this is going to be, you know, a lot of this will behave the same on the server OSs as well. So let's see here. The Veeam Backup is the name of the database configuration. We're going to upgrade the database. Okay, so let's do it. Here's an important note. During the install here, some information about backup copy jobs, because I have some configured. The one thing that is interesting that I want to highlight is that, and this is outlined in the release notes, but the quarterly backup option is no longer provided. So the short story is, you know, make that up with monthlies or yearlies or such. All right. Now, if I have remote components, I'm going to push them out. I'm actually going to say no, because one of the things that you may run into is they may all not be available or online, right? I think all of mine are, so I'm going to leave it on. Let's go ahead and do it. Now, this is an area where I might get trapped. And what I mean by that is do all the services stop. I think I'm okay, but if you try to progress on your installation and it might catch you earlier, but some of the services might need to be stopped. That's happened to me, especially if you have like a backup copy job that's running or something like that. You want to make sure all of those type of running tasks are not running. So yes, I closed the console, but if there's jobs running like backup copy jobs, replica jobs, backup jobs, or any other job, that's going to be a trap where you can't actually do the upgrade. So you want to make sure everything's quiet and have the last run of those things been successful. All right, so we'll go ahead and pause this while it progresses, but it's so far so good. All right, so here we go. So you're going to see it progress with the installation after the services were stopped with a number of the different catalog components. So first up here is Veeam Backup Catalog, and it doesn't really require any specific interaction, but I like watching this, just seeing the different components. And you'll also see some things get installed or upgraded that you might not be using, okay? And that's okay, because there's like components like the different explorers, like maybe you don't have that application, or maybe you don't have that storage system, for example, if some of the plugins or the integrations we have. And that's just part of the platform, which is good, because if you add them, then you're ready to go. The other thing I'll notice is that, or note, is that in this environment, I do have Enterprise Manager, and it said upgrade this one first for this server. Enterprise Manager is on a different system, right? So I'm probably gonna, the other environment is shared, so that one I believe may have already even been upgraded. I'm not sure, but I'll double check that. And the Veeam server we use has also been upgraded as well. So that's also part of the release. They don't have to be, let's see, Veeam you want to upgrade probably before backup and replication, because Veeam V10 can't have the plugin and the monitoring of BNR V11. So you'll want to upgrade that. There we go. Now we're going to some of the console, some of the other components. So that's the user interface that drives the jobs where we started and stuff. So it's going to start moving quicker through these components. I am pausing the video, but I'll do the math of the time end to end here, so we get a good sense for how long this environment took for the upgrade. Here we go. Now we're starting to do some of the explorers, right? This is what I was mentioning, SharePoint. It's going to go through some of these different application explorers and other components. Whether or not you're using them, they're included with the install. Really excited for the SQL Server Explorer. Some big enhancements there, as well as Oracle. There we go. Veeam Explorer for Teams. That one you might think, well, I'm not using Veeam Backup for Office 365. That's actually kind of cool. If you do an image-based backup of the system running Veeam Backup for Office 365, you can actually drive a Teams restore from the backup of that system. So this is a really good example. I've been using this language, what I call shared technology between across the products. The agents are updated as well, so if they're managed by server with protection groups, keep in mind that that will manage the update of the agents. The agents are pretty good also about being backwards compatible. I have, at least at like my house, for example, all the PCs are backed up. I'm not very good about keeping that up to date because I use them all unmanaged. So they could probably improve that, but they do a good job of backwards compatibility, especially writing into the repositories. And here's the new one, the Veeam Agent for Mac. So a new Veeam Agent for Mac OS. And now we're starting to get into the plugins, AWS and Azure and Google. All right, well, the bulk of the install is done. Now I did pause the video a few times, but I know I started it after 10 o'clock on my time, according to my clock here, because I had a funny take where Kirsten walked in behind me, so I was like, whoops, starting over. So the services are going to start here. It took a while to start them or stop them, so it might take a while to start them. But let's close the ISO. And again, if you haven't already, make sure you look at the release notes. If you read one thing, you read that. And that's right there where you download. So it's kind of like the most important part for the upgrade is those two pieces of collateral. Let's see here. Give that a moment to start. Okay, we got the note here that the installation has succeeded. So I'm going to finish. All right, so I'm right back here. Now, Enterprise Manager I have on another environment, so it's a good idea to know where your Enterprise Manager is, that type of thing. So I don't need anything else to do here, and I don't run the remote console for this one anywhere else. So let's go into Veeam Backup and Replication. Let's just... All right, I'm going to close this, the mount of the CD, and I'm going to, so my config backup, actually I'll come back to that here in a second. All right, that all looks good. That definitely is 11. I'm going to disconnect that mount. Let's go ahead and eject that. Okay, thanks, bye. We all share it in this lab, so that shares where everyone will upgrade theirs, because the product strategy team, we each have like our own little pods. We have a couple shared resources, and then we have individual resources. And we learned a long time ago that we want me not touching everybody else's. It's kind of an inside joke. All right. Where is the console? It should pop up any minute now. I guess I'm done with the browser. And done with the, that's the zip file. It has the ISOs. I'm going to leave up the actual config backup, and you'll see I still have my 3 days remaining on my license. And it's actually the V10 license, so that's the universal license. That's actually really cool, so that makes the upgrade rather seamless. So it's going to update soon, so I can take care of that. I use an NFR license for the lab. Okay, so here's that one option about updating remote components. So I'm looking through here, and yeah, all of those are online, so I shouldn't have any problems. The three in the middle, those are my Hyper-V cluster. Right? That's one that's a little bit different. VMware clusters are, for backup and regular replication jobs, are rather touchless, API-driven. The Hyper-Vs are with a service, so there's a touch, whether it's on host or off host, right? So you'll have those with a little bit more touch. Now this is right away. I can already see some of the new things. Like I love some of the new Veeam zip logic, right? Once you do Veeam zip, so I've done a few. Like for example, I had archived, if I want to say archived, but held on to. This was all my testing I did before GA. All of these systems, for example, just did a one-timer, and I can see those in there. It's great, and there you can see that's when they're going to go away. I hold on to things a lot. Anyways, so let's run. The first thing I'm going to do is actually run the config backup on demand. So let's do a backup now. Just want to make sure that you'll see a fourth file in there, a new timestamp, and that's just going to start like post upgrade. I mean, you don't necessarily have to do that, but I'm just going to do that on demand. Let's double check it. It doesn't take a long time. It's probably one of the quicker jobs you can run because it's not much data. There we go. Cool. And it looks like it should finish up. It was done. Good stuff. Let's see, what could I run that would be interesting? Let's do the Hyper-V. That one's it's relatively quick, I know, but I know that it also is going to use the new components on the server, so on the Hyper-V cluster, I should say. So I'm just going to run a job, you know, and that's a good way to make sure things behave the way you would expect. While that's running, you know, I'll show you where some of the new things start to make sense, right? You can see we've got I/O filters, like for example the CDP. If you're going to use that, that becomes something you can drop in. See if I can find any other new things. And the interface changes as we go through the GA environments, things like that, versus the betas if you had a chance to play with any of those. But anyways, I hope that this kind of environmental view of what it might look like. This was my environment. I started before or a little bit after 10 o'clock my local time. I'm going to tune into the launch event here in a bit. But I hope that this quick video was helpful to give you a sense of what an upgrade might look like. Again, thanks for visiting the Veeam community. This is an exclusive, kind of a new product that we're putting up here. Leave your comments down below. Let me know how you feel and what's missing. Maybe if there's other pieces of advice. You know, we've committed for all new upgradable products to kind of have this type of resource for you. And we might change and add some text to it. So, come back to the page. We're going to make it a news topic, and Ksenia on the community team will help me out with that. Thanks for watching. Let us know how you feel with a note below.